I know I need procedures for my business, but I just don't have the time or patience to write down all those steps. Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Vicky Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. Now, if you spend any time online at all, I'm sure you keep hearing productivity experts talking about developing SOPs, standard operating procedures. But what is an SOP, and how do you create one? Well, the real question is, how do you create one without feeling like you're being tortured? Oh, sure, you could approach the thing like you're creating an ISO or Six Sigma level SOP with a process flow diagram, prep activities, and reference tools. But who has that kind of time? And if I'm being honest, brain power. I know I don't. I just need a step-by-step guide that can tell someone else how to do something that needs to get done. A guide that can make sure the thing is done the same way every time. The quality of work is consistent, and someone new can be easily trained on the task. So let's start at the top. This is going to be a project that will ultimately take a lot of time and thinking. But remember, it doesn't have to start that way. First off, give yourself a schedule. Something like, I'm going to write out one SOP a week. Make sure it's a reasonable goal so you won't feel overwhelmed or burned out. And I know you might be thinking, one a week? I probably have hundreds of procedures to get through. One a week won't help me. I need to take a week off and do them all in one sitting. No, you don't. First off, you don't have the time to take a week off. Second, even if you did, the amount of mental damage you would do to yourself trying to write all those SOPs in one fell swoop would be, well, it wouldn't be a good thing, I can tell you that. Nope. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. And yes, one a week will absolutely help you, because you'll be moving forward on your goal. And who knows, some weeks you may even be able to do more than one. And another thing, remember that ultimately, you don't have to be the one person doing all the writing. If you have team members, even if they're outsourced, give them the responsibility for writing their part of the process. But more on that later. Now, begin with a big process that needs to get done in the business and needs to happen the same way every time. For this example, I'm going to use creating a YouTube video. Now, you'll note I'm not starting with something like editing a video, because that's a sub-process inside creating the video. And for this first pass, I want to focus on big overarching processes. Things like creating a video or creating and distributing client invoices or onboarding a new client. Big processes are the focus because they're easier to start with, and you can get the overall steps down and then fill in the smaller steps later. I call this the outside-in method. For me, it's easier for my brain to use this outside-to-inside approach versus starting at the top and filling in every detail of every sub-process as I go along. That's just too tedious at the outset, and it makes it way too easy for me to get bogged down in tiny details. Now, I like to use Excel, at least for the initial design. It's so flexible and easy to use, and I can kind of see everything on the page. But you can use anything that works for you. We ultimately transitioned our processes to Asana, and you can absolutely start out using a project management system if you want. But if this is your first crack at writing SOPs, I suggest using something a bit more accessible, like Excel. Now, every SOP should start with what the SOP is designed to accomplish. This one is to create and distribute videos for our YouTube main channel. Next, outline what tools you'll need. Again, for this, we'll need the channel, the video, social channels, social channel distribution platform, email list, and email distribution platform. Again, note I didn't say things like video camera, editing software, etc. Those items belong to the sub-processes inside the larger process. So once I start filling in those sub-processes, I can clearly think about what tools they need and then go back and update the overall SOP tools list accordingly. Now, I know that will mean you won't have quite a full tools list until all the sub-SOPs are written, but remember, my goal here is to help you start writing SOPs in an easily doable way, a way that gets you a written process as quickly as possible. And a pro tip here, one of the easiest ways to capture a process is to write the SOP as you're doing the process. It'll help make sure you don't miss anything. Now, on to the steps. List them out one per line. Another great thing about Excel is that you can insert, delete, and sort lines at will. For our video production SOP, our steps are research, pre-production, production, post-production, marketing, and day of publishing. Let's take a closer look at each section. Under the research section, I have review relevant videos and articles, do keyword research, and determine the title. Of course, inside each of these, there could be sub-SOPs like how to search for relevant videos and articles or how to do keyword research. But those are sub-SOPs. For this initial pass, we just want the overall steps. Remember, we're working outside in. Okay, that's step one. The next step is pre-production. And under that step, we have develop script, develop the lead magnet, create a B-roll outline, and develop video excerpts. This one has sub-SOPs like creating a video description, selecting the in-card video, creating a comment, etc. So we walk through the rest of the processes and note sub-processes as we identify them. Once we're done with that, we can use this column to reference any other information, guides, or job aids that might be needed. For instance, next to keyword research, I'm putting a reference to a great TubeBuddy video on how to use their keyword search tool. And I might add other reference materials as well. And don't be afraid to have reference materials stored outside of your Excel file. You know, when we first started, again before Asana, we just used Evernote. It allowed us to grab screenshots from the web, store PDFs or Word documents we'd created in-house, etc. Then we just reference those docs in the Excel SOP document. Again, that keeps the SOP document as clean as possible and still provides more information if someone needs it. Now you have the first draft of your SOP for creating YouTube videos. Again, the next steps are reviewing what you have and adding things you may have missed, like reference materials. Then, and only then, should you move on to filling in the sub-SOPs. In fact, just to keep my brain fresh, I would move on to the next large SOP, like new client onboarding, and leave the creating video sub-SOPs for later. And again, remember those sub-SOPs might even be written by someone else. In fact, they probably will. And actually, it might even make sense for someone else to write some of the big SOPs too. Now, like I said, later on, if you want, you can get fancier and transition to a project management application like Asana or ClickUp or something similar. But if this is your first time tackling SOPs, I strongly suggest you start out with Excel. You'll find it's a really great tool to use for this type of project. In fact, even though we use Asana for almost everything in my business, one of our most vital SOPs was created in, and still exists in, Excel. It's the one my executive assistant uses to get through the day. And believe me, it is crazy huge, has all sorts of references, and we would absolutely die without it. So, don't get overwhelmed at the thought of creating SOPs for your business. Just use the outside-in process, and you'll get them done faster than you thought. And once you even have a few completed, it will be a huge load off your mind because you'll know that part of the business has been locked down and memorialized, so it can always be done, and done well. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And if you're struggling with how to get your business off the ground and what comes next, well, check out the Leader's Journey Business Builder. I designed this completely free video series to help you with figuring out who your customer is and where to find her, how to sell without selling, how to package and deliver your service, and much more. Check it out by using the link leadersjourneyexperience.com. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.